coming in. Heightened terror threats in Doda Kishtwar. Indian Army trains the locals to fight the terrorists in the hilly areas. 26 Rashtriya Rifles of the Indian Army deployed in Doda is carrying out weapon handling and tactical drills for the locals. These are the visuals, viewers, coming in, where the Indian Army is training the locals to fight terrorists in the hilly terrains. Hundreds of villagers can be seen. Hundreds of village defense group members are being trained in Gandoh area of Doda. This comes after Indian Army said that nearly 30 to 35 Pakistani terrorists are active in the twin districts of Doda and Kishtwar. The training of the locals underway. 26 Rashtriya Rifles, which is deployed in Doda. They are, of course, carrying out these training programs for the locals, for the villagers, amid threats of 30 to 35 Pakistani terror infiltrators in the region. That's the breaking news coming in, and we are also showing you those very, very dramatic visuals of the villagers. Hundreds of village defense group members are being trained in Gandoh area of Doda. It is the army which is training the locals to fight terrorists amid the terror threat. Gursimran, my colleague, joins us on the broadcast this morning. Gursimran, there is indeed a terror threat. 30 to 35 terrorists present. That's the intel that we have at Doda and Kishtwar, which is why the army has now taken a step forward and they're training the locals. Gursimran, we have those dramatic visuals. Give us the details.
Yes, Indian Army has intensified its efforts to wipe out the Pakistani terrorists that are active in the twin districts of Doda and Kishtwar, and for the same, they are also taking the helps of the locals. The village defense groups are being strengthened by the Indian Army. The 26 Rashtriya Rifles of the Indian Army that has been deployed in the Gandoh area of the Doda, that is carrying out the intensified training of the village defense group members, where they are not only being taught that how to handle the weapon, but also the tactical training that is required during the operations and the encounters with these Pakistani terrorists, that how they have to take cover in the open ground, because there are several places in the high ridges of the Jammu and Kashmir also where there are bouts when the terrorists are hiding in the upper reaches, how these VDG members can take cover of the natural bases that are there. So this is what they are being taught along with the Jammu and Kashmir police, because this is an initiative that has been taken by the Indian Army and now has been further strengthened after the inputs that are with the agencies that there are 30 to 35 Pakistani terrorists of Jaish-e-Mohammed that are operating in the area. All these terrorists are highly trained terrorists, and these terrorists are being trained have been trained for the jungle warfare before being pushed into the Indian territory. These terrorists are active in the area for more than 3 to 4 years. So they are well aware of the dynamics of the area, how the geography of the area is, and how they can inflict the damage to the security forces as well as the counterinsurgency group, this grid that is in place. Now to strengthen this grid, now the Indian Army is carrying out regular trainings of the Indian Army, the civilians that are deployed there, so that they can also be deployed in the operational duties. This comes at a time when we are days to the new year, just 24 hours to the new year, and the intercepts and the input suggest that the Pakistani terrorists may plan to carry out the terror strike. Because if you remember 2023, what has happened? It was on the 1st of January when Pakistani terrorists of Lashkar-e-Toiba, they carried out the brutal killing of the civilians in the Dhangri area of Jammu's Rajouri. So the possibility of carrying out any kind of a civilian massacre, that can also not be ruled out. So that is why the civilians are being strengthened, so that the threat that lies and looms large on the civilian population as well as on the security forces, that can be contained jointly by the forces.
Gursimran, also give us the details in terms of the operations carried out from the side of the army personnel themselves, although they are training the locals, but what kind of a force deployment has been there in those areas?
See, if we speak of the Doda and the Kishtwar, we have seen that when the terrorism took a sharp surge, then we saw that the Assam rifle was also deployed. That comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs in the Kishtwar, so that they can also enhance the operations along with the Rashtriya Rifles and the local deployment that is of the Jammu and Kashmir police. And also the CRPF has also strengthened its deployment grid in the Jammu region. Now coming to the operations, yes, the intensified operations are underway. round-the-clock operations are happening so that these Pakistani terrorists can be neutralized. But the reality remains that these Pakistani terrorists are a real threat. They are a threat not only to the security apparatus of the country, but also the long-term threat that the security forces are seeing, that they are establishing their bases within the hinterland, and from here only they are operating. That is a real concern, and we have seen that this time Indian Army has also enhanced its doctrine when it comes to the doctrine of the Indian Army for the winters, that they have enhanced it. They have said that this time it will not be that the hilltops will be left alone or a lull will be seen in the operations, but it will be the surveillance, sweep surveillance operations that they have been carrying out and will be intensified as soon as the snowfall starts taking place in the upper reaches of Jammu and Kashmir.
That's right, Gursimran. Thank you for giving us the details there on that story. With that, viewers, we continue to stay and get you the updates coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where locals are, of course, being trained, and the army has, in fact, stepped up its efforts. The army is pushing forward to build the locals and train them to fight, of course, the terrorists. And the presence of terrorists have already been found, that there are nearly 30 to 35 terrorists that are present in the area. With that, viewers, we shift our focus and get you some more news.